Hi, I'm Dr. Marian Waldman, founder of Step by Step Dyslexia Solutions. The reason I have these YouTube regularly every week is to interview adults who have dyslexia or parents who have dyslexic children, and our audience is the same. Genius dyslexic adults or dyslexic adults who have those dyslexic children with that genius potential that we want to unlock by building their self-esteem, by helping them read. So today I have a very special guest. Her name is Mary Reed, and she is a gal who developed her own reading, her own understanding of how to sound and say words before she realized that another large organization has a component of this as part of their big package. I was excited to meet Mary Reed. She has 2 adult sons with dyslexia. And, you know, she's a homemaker who just has a heart to help her own children, had a heart to help her own children read. And she had some great ideas, and they're very popular ideas. She may not have been the one to market them, to get the fame for them, but you'll recognize some of what she's doing. And I'm going to have her come to the stage right now. Come on, Mary. I'll introduce you to our audience. Great to have you today. So this is Mary. Would you tell the audience just, a little bit about yourself before we get into our discussion about what you developed?
Well, at the time, I was a homemaker. I have a degree in social science and secondary education. I am a dyslexic. I grew up when you were basically told you're lazy, and I struggled. I was 5th grade before literally God opened the door for me to be able to read. It was literally a door. And when I started reading, there was no turning back. I have always had this love affair with language, with the sound of it, with the meaning of words. And so I think I was considered rather precocious because as I was young, I loved the big words. The bigger, the better. And the more meaning and the more color the words had, the more I liked it.
What made it open up for you in 5th grade, though?
It was like a door opened. And
you're like, it was a miracle.
It was.
No, really?
It literally was.
I believe in miracles.
I'm a great believer in miracles. There was not any one thing that opened that door, I don't believe. I had one teacher that said, "Oh, you did a good job on that." And I do remember because I didn't get that really often. But something happened in the 5th grade, between the 5th and the 6th grade. That summer, I started picking up books and reading and getting involved. I wanted to read. I desperately wanted to read. And bless my poor mother's heart, she would tell me, "Now, Mary, just sound it out." Well, it made no sense.
Yeah.
Sound it out. How do I put these sounds together to make a word? And it was such a struggle.
Tell me about what your self-esteem was like as you were in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and 4th grade.
It was awful. I went to bed at night crying most nights. There was this expectation, and I can remember hearing a teacher tell my dad, "We really don't understand because she seems to be very, very smart. She sees things that others don't see. She catches on to things that others don't catch on
Isn't that
to.
something?
But why
Yeah.
can't she read?
Okay.
She's just being lazy.
Ah,
And it wasn't for lack of desire, but it was a very stressful time period.
and those
to
are
say
the things we
least.
hear. You know, when I talk to adults, parents, to who are the dyslexic children, because they don't really know sometimes. And I tell them, if you have a child who is great to carry on in conversation, seems very creative, very bright, but when they start to write, they're scribbling, and they can't spell words properly.
Yeah.
And when they try to read, they'll read memorized words, but give them words they haven't memorized, they cannot sound words out. Those are the red flags that parents have to be aware of. You know, we talk about the statistics that if kids aren't reading at grade level by fourth grade, they're at risk of dropping out of high school and going to prison and getting into crime and trying to get attention other ways. So by fourth grade, that means they are reading successfully at third grade level, ready for fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so glad that you got it in fifth grade, because already you were one of the statistics of not reading at fourth grade.
To me, it has been a miracle all that I ever was able to sit down, and I can read pretty much what I want to read now. I do have some limit areas, which sounds really stupid, but I actually like political philosophy, and I have trouble reading it. So I do use books on tape.
I was going to ask that. Okay.
I find that books on tape frees me to not feel hemmed in by things I can't read.
Good.
And we've had an argument about this in our household, because I have two boys who are dyslexic, which I think is another funny. It's another of God's miracles and jokes to me sometimes. Both of our boys are adopted, and so
Oh, isn't that something? Okay.
but they both have dyslexia. And so we say we're the normal ones in the household. My husband does not have dyslexia. So it's been a real learning and trial thing for him.
Yes.
Because I'm telling him, no, read to the child. Don't force him to read back to you. Reading aloud is like, it's a minefield. I still feel the minefield about reading aloud.
Which basically you're feeling it's very scary. It's a very scary.
Is.
When people, well, you're being very brave to be on this YouTube also, because usually dyslexic adults are very, very shy, and I'll often have people cancel because they're so shy. So I'm very proud of you for doing this for your audience.
Well, let me explain it this way. A very long time ago, I was in the hallway of Lawton High School in Lawton, Oklahoma. I was in high school, and I was really struggling with dealing with people. And it was like the Lord just said, okay, you can either start dealing with people and putting yourself out there, and even though you're uncomfortable, you can do this and get over this fear and make it in the future, or you will handicap yourself in the future. And that threw me back. The lady that taught me to sew was my dad's cousin, and she was very, very crippled, and she sewed for the wealthiest people in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
And she was amazing.
Well, and
But
just for the audience to know, what you're sewing now are homecoming dresses. Isn't that exciting? You're
Yep.
still working with those school kids.
Oh, absolutely. But she put me in front of a mirror and she told me, she said, "You see that little girl there? She is the only one that can handicap herself. She always realized that there was a problem. And in so doing, she reached out to me. She taught me a skill. She loved on me. She realized that there was some things not going quite right. She talked to my dad about it, but my dad didn't understand, and she didn't know how to explain what dyslexia was. She didn't have a good grasp.
Mm-hmm.
I had even told people, if I get real stressed, the words fall off the page. And nobody picked up on any of my cues.
Huh.
So it was very hard back then. So now I want people to know, if you hear a child saying this is a cue for you to step in and say, look, we've got to look closer. We've got to look deeper. There's something not right, and quit saying the child is lazy. Quit putting he or she to bed at night crying. It's not good.
Well, one of the things I wanted to have the audience listen to is some of the things we create that we see work. One of the things I've been doing, I developed a reading program and a music app that work together to help dyslexic children read. About a year's gain in only 50 hours or 50 sessions, which is tremendous. And I just finished 200 hours of Ortongillingham training, and I have a level 2 to my program, and I am incorporating more focus on vowel teams and stuff. But one of the things that was always challenging to me is the sound, the different sounds that the same formation of our lips makes, because one sound is voiced and one sound is not voiced. And this is your expertise, and this is something you developed, and it's more to raise awareness for the student. I don't see it so much as a requirement, but you saw your kids opened up when they learned that about this. So I think that's very interesting and telling, because large organizations have that as a big part of their training. And that was part of the Orton-Gillingham training.
Right.
You want to share a little bit about that?
Yes. Our oldest child, I thought he was tone deaf. He couldn't understand sound, even just a conversation. He would miss words. If he made a sentence with 4 or 5 words, and this is for a 3-year-old, 4-year-old. Well, even into early elementary school, he could crunch those 4 or 5 words into 4 or 5 syllables. I mean, it just, and then I'd have to drag them apart to figure out what he had said to me. And so I got to thinking about it, and what I decided was he needed a method of being able to understand sound by what his mouth did. And part of why I figured that out was because I had trouble with vowel sounds. And the question became, what do you do to figure out what this sound is? And I got thinking, well, what did my mouth do to make that sound? So I began to drag it apart. And at first it started out on little scraps of paper with a
We have about
drawing.
5 minutes, so go just so you know how to summarize it.
Okay, drawing the side of the face with a picture with what the tongue was doing and where the teeth were. And so eventually it became a notebook with the 44 sounds.
Beautiful.
And we worked with this until he was able to reproduce sounds and then know what each of the vowel sounds were. And his problem even was with consonants. And so there's where we started, and we just build from there. And then I was reading the book, The Teacher Nobody, or The Teacher Who Couldn't Read. And he introduced me to Linda Mood Bell. And I remember the phone call over 25 years ago where I told them, I said, look, here's what I'm doing. And they said, you're reinventing our program. I said, oh, good. I'm so tired of reinventing. And eventually they came to Jackson, Mississippi. And the Board of Education, the State Board of Education, just poo-pooed them and said they didn't want it. And it wasn't any help. And now Mississippi is opening up to this. But I even got to teach 8 years of special education, reading disabilities.
Beautiful.
And it's amazing the doors that open.
So how long would you spend with a child teaching them this? Do you spend just a couple sessions at a time and then do something else and come back to it? Or do you try to designate like a whole week, which would be 4 or 5 sessions to teach these? Because I know they have to be learned.
I usually incorporated it short period of time within whatever else I'm doing. Whether it's learning to fill the letters. I use this method. I use the pictures that I did with children who have more problems. My second.
Hold up one of your pictures. We're going to have to wrap this up, but I do want to have our viewing audience see what you drew, because I think it's just lovely.
Well,
look at this, everybody. There. Oh,
see it?
I'm going to put this in. I'm going to pin you so they could see that.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly what. So we talk about sounds that have vibration with them or called voiced. Without vibration, they're just voiced or unvoiced.
Right.
So, yeah.
It made a difference. I saw where this made a difference. And if a child can't figure it out, I just incorporate that in.
And when they don't know the difference, that's when they'll put an F instead of a V. And the V, you know, if the audience wants to put your hand under your chin and say, v, you'll feel vibration. And if you want to say,
there's no
vibration, because the mouth is the same, but one is voiced and one is not voiced. And I think those little lessons to our kids help. You know, we may have to have you on another day for more information. Let's see if our audience is interested in this, because this would even be a nice workshop to have for an hour and let parents learn about this. Okay, so we'll see if we get a good response. And any final comments, because we do have to close.
Just keep working with your kids. And one of the things that I really, really tell parents, get them out from in front of the TV and the videos and get them moving, because the neurology of moving is I have watched it over the years, and that's another area I've really started studying the neurology of movement and how it affects the brain.
That's right. And
And
music. Music is another
and
one.
music, yes,
Yes.
it's just amazing what is out there for free that you can,
Okay.
just
Sounds
put
great.
yourself to.
Okay, Mary, thank you. I wish we didn't have to cut it off, but I actually tutor from my home also. So I'm getting ready for another Zoom meeting. And
All right.
I want to thank the audience for listening. Thank you, Mary, for sharing your life story with us and your passion. And if what we have shared has inspired you, would you consider going to my website, dyslexia-solutions.com/donate. Make a small donation. I am an author of 3 different books that talk about using music to help kids with dyslexia, and I'm always donating my books, so that would help cover some of those costs. And also to have our webinars and workshops. We do that all free of charge just to inform parents of how to help your kids. So we're going to sign off. I'm Dr. Marian Cintron, president of Step by Step Dyslexia Solutions, and my special guest is Mary Reed. You can reach me at meetmarianne.com. Made it so easy for you. Let's have a conversation. Okay, have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye now.